how do you believe that organizations can gain and manage employee trust with their workforce?
I think it's an important question. Well, what we've seen outside of HR, what we've seen in the world is organizations collecting an enormous amount of data, so we give it to them, right? And a lot of the conversation is around what do we get in return, right? How do we give something back to us to make it valuable? Because it is a trade-off. As the famous line goes, nothing comes for free, right?
Yeah.
And so I think in organizations, the dynamic is actually a bit different because organizations actually own all of our data or a good portion of our data. So when we log in at work, and we're emailing and we're chatting and we have the user interface, we're moving our mouse, all of that information is essentially collected and owned by the organization. And so the key question is, in order to get the buy-in so that we don't seem like creeps in monitoring the information and using it to increase organizational performance, is the same as industry. We have to give something back to employees so that they feel like they are getting something in the bargain. And I think that really goes back to a lot of the things we've been talking about. If as an outcome, we make the work experience better for them, we help them fit into their job roles and their job design better, we give them better salary and benefits that fit their needs, their teams are working better, they understand themselves better, right? Even if we were really open around this is the information we're getting, and what we've learned about you is this, and the reason why you often come to work on a Monday and feel like you're digging yourself out of a hole is because maybe you're really, really low on diligence, and you can use these strategies to approach that. I think employees would feel more open, and they feel like they're getting something in the bargain. So I think, to me, that's where the key is in using this information. We have to genuinely use it to help employees, not to help the organization, and then everything will follow from there.
And it's certainly, Accenture, I don't know if you've seen the Accenture research that they published back in January, I think, around the Davos conference. And they actually did a big piece of research, and 92% of employees that responded to it said that they were happy for their organizations to have their data and also get something in return. I think it's that trade-off that you were talking about there. You mentioned around organizations using, owning mostly the employee data. Do you think that might change as we move forward with?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. So I think organizations will always own it, but I think part of that trade-off. So what happens? Think about the career journey, right? And you leave college, you start one role, and then, especially these days, 3, maybe 4 years later, you're moving into another role, and you pretty much have that revolving door throughout your career, right? And each organization, you kind of start at the ground floor. You may come in with a different title, but your reputation has to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
And the stakeholder buy-in and the trust that your team and your seniors have in you has to be rebuilt. I think more and more what we will start seeing is owning the reputation and the performance that you have in your previous organization and taking it with you to the next organization. And as long as we can create some kind of consistency of data, be it performance metrics or other tools. There was a lot of conversations around this during the Bitcoin cryptocurrency 2018 boom. Maybe that has died down a bit now. But there is a good application there, right? Where if we can have some kind of consistent language across organizations, then yeah, I would want to own that data, right? What happened to all the great performance reviews and the glowing, maybe it was an employee motivation program or accolades or something that I got from my colleagues. Where did it all go when I left? And so I think we should aim to transfer that information to the employee and allow them to take that with them.
There definitely seems to be a bit of a movement around the ownership shifting more towards the employee, the individual worker, and then the individual giving access to the organisation or organisations they're working for at the time, access to that data. So it'd be interesting to see how that evolves over the time. And I know you mentioned the crypto stuff. I know I've been speaking to people that are kind of heavily involved in blockchain, and they said that potentially is something that could happen with blockchain technologies, that effectively this shift in ownership comes towards the employee.
I would think so. And the gig economy as well, right? And you have lots of, I can't remember the number offhand, but right, a large segment of the workforce is involved in the gig economy at the same time that they are in the traditional workforce,
right? This is true, yeah.
And so how do I get that information? I've got now 15 glowing reviews, and in fact, the dynamic is I don't want to tell my manager that I'm doing this work on the side, so I keep it a secret, versus saying, well, I have a whole reputation on Upwork, and how do I move that into some coherent language that I can then use it to my advantage?
Be fascinating how it evolves. In this series, we will be speaking to a range of senior leaders who are pushing a data-driven and digital HR agenda. Make sure that you subscribe via your podcast app of choice and also via our YouTube channel for free and regular interviews with the digital HR leaders of the future.